if I was employing someone today, it would be someone, number one, that has the passion, the energy, and just wants to do something great. And that would be the number one trait, actually, rather than an MBA or this or that, a DDS. That would be passion. And we meet many people in this industry that have great passion, and those are the people you want on the team.
Barbara Nordquist, welcome to the ZeroBalance Podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, I am so excited, and it's not often when I get a chance to sit down with somebody and have a conversation, which we're going to do here today, that I got a chance to speak with you last night a little bit and learn a little bit about your story, which is fascinating in so many areas. And I do just want to start this by saying John Kromenhoek from Quanta just raves about you. All the things that you've done in dentistry. And I think that's what I want to discuss today. You know, this podcast is, we put this together for a couple reasons. Obviously, it's to highlight people in dentistry, what they've done in dentistry, where they see dentistry going, and all of that. And you have such a vast experience in the industry. And we were just talking before we came on of really being a connector, right?
Yes.
And so I was thinking through this. Over the years, I have learned that there have been people that love to get into the products. They learn the details and things like that. And then there are people like you that are connectors that make sure that those companies that bring these products to market actually have people in the industry, their end users, to talk to. And so pretty safe to say that that's what you do, yes?
Yeah, that's perfect. You're spot on that. I am a connector, and I do like learning about products. But I think basically what you said is that I love talking to people, being with people, connecting people, and doing things for different people, whether it's industry, students, just general dentists, anyone. I learned that from my father a long time ago.
Yeah. So I want to cover two things today. I want to start with a little bit of your history and what you've done in the dental industry when we talk about this connector piece. But then I also want to take the second half of the conversation and talk about a little bit of a recent personal journey that you were on. I want to go there, Barbara, because there's a lot of conversation in dentistry about how to run a practice and business and the technology, which is all great stuff. But often in a dental practice, there's a lot that goes on with all of those individuals where they go through challenges and they have to work through them in an effort to stay professional when they're seeing patients every day. And so what I've learned about your story, I think there's a lot that you're going to share with everybody that can be some great inspiration and nuggets for dental professionals that are watching this. And so that's kind of how we'll finish up. But I'd love to have you start a little bit about your story. I know it's long and vast. So if you want to maybe start kind of how you got into dentistry and kind of how that came about, maybe that'd be a good place.
Well, that's interesting. We spoke a little bit about that last night. I was, after I left school, I was going to go to ophthalmology nursing school. And after the 8 weeks, I had to give a shot in the eye, and I couldn't do that. And I was really disappointed about that and didn't know what to do because that's what I wanted to do for a long time. So, to my father's non-approval, I went into dentistry. I took a job where I worked, and I went to college, and I did my RDSA and my therapy in the UK. And so I worked for a dental practice, which was a large dental practice at that time with 5 dentists, National Health Service. And from there, I enjoyed that. I went to college and graduated. And then I met a group of people who said, you know, Barbara, you should go into sales and marketing. And I said, I don't think my dad will be very pleased with that, but let's give it a whirl. And I went for an interview with a company in England that was an engineering company selling taps, dies, reamers to very large corporations. I worked with a guy called Tom Morris, and we did very well. He was a leader in the industry, taking women on to talk to these industry like Lucas Aerospace, etc. And after a couple of years, he said, Barbara, you need to go back. You're wonderful at what you do, and I don't want to lose you, but you need to go back into dental. And so I did. I took a job with Bayer, interviewed. I was with Bayer in England. I worked with them for about 8 years. And then I worked with a company called Colteen Wellden today. It was Wellden then. And they wanted me to work in England, which I did do for them, and then they brought me here to the United States in 1987. So that is a long time ago. I've spent more time here in the United States than I have in England, that was a very defining moment in my life. Who am I? Am I American? Am I English? I'll always be English, but the United States and the dental community here has been amazing for me. I've been so lucky to be a part of that. So I came over here for 2 years, working for Wellden, living in Manhattan. And from there, I left Wellden to go to Ultradent, basically, and I was there for 12 years in Utah. Had a wonderful experience there with Dr. Fisher and the team there. They were a young company, and I really took him into the schools and educated. He was a great educator. I educated through the company and through other people. I didn't do this on my own, and had a wonderful time there. But then I wanted to come back to the East Coast for my children. I have 2 boys, 2 great boys. And so we came back to the East Coast, and I actually worked for Discus Dental for a time, for Robert Heyman, who's an amazing character also. Had a great time with him. And then from there, I was approached by Danaher, actually, and at an IDEA meeting that I was at, and they wanted someone to help them in the schools and education and that sort of thing. And they had many companies, as you know, about 36 companies, so it was a big task. And I was really not the kind of person that they would normally hire. In fact, I was probably really out of the box and left wing, because Danaher had a certain type of person that they wanted to come to the company, and I was not that. But I stayed for a long time, for 13 years, had a great time with Danaher. They took very good care of me. I met an enormous amount of people through Danaher and through Ultradent, all of the companies, through education, and I have been so lucky. I've made many friends, I've done many things. Companies have allowed me to kind of do out-of-the-box things, working with schools, working with students, educational programs. I've been so lucky that people have allowed me to do that, really. And I've made a lot of very good friends.
So one of the things that John shared with me is he deems you as the school queen. Which, if you are a dental company, as you know so well, in many cases, dental companies want to introduce products at the dental schools. I worked for Brasler, and when I look back at the work that Peter Brasler did in the early days to be in the schools and make the commitment, make the investment, those students then started using those rotary instruments, and then when they went into their practice, that's what they knew, and it was the beginning of what was many, many years of I would consider loyal, customers to that brand.
I would agree with you completely, and in the past, there have been many companies like Peter Brasler and Dan Fisher and those kinds of companies, generally privately owned, that have a vision of that. And it's true. I speak to people today that I perhaps gave pins and posts, not that they use today, when they were at university and dental school, and they still remember that. So they not only remember me, but they remember the brand. Of course, those brands are no longer, they are available, but they're not used because we've moved on with technology, which is fantastic. So although companies do waver a little bit about, well, I don't think they use the products that they do at dental school, maybe there has been a time when that's happened. But today, with all of the technologies, with all the great companies, AI, digital, haptic, virtual reality, I do think students do remember companies. What they remember most is the people who talk to them and help them and are not just there for the sale. Of course, We're all there. We're all salespeople. Everybody is a salesperson. But I will just tell you this one quick story about Dr. Robinson in England. My first day on the job with Bayer, I'm going to sell a bunch of stuff to you, you know. I go into this typical house, dental office at the front, kitchen at the back, and somebody who lives upstairs. So I go into Mr. Robinson, and he goes, "Oh, coming in, you know," and he said, "Why don't you sit down?" And he said to me, "Barbara, you can come here anytime you like. You can come in for a cup of tea. You can come in and make us a cup of tea. If it's raining or you just want to sit down, you can come here, but don't just come here when you want an order." I have never forgotten that. And that's stayed true to me, and it's really been good for me. So I never, ever went back in that practice with my bag or a pen and paper to try and write an order. And you know what? 95% of the time, they needed something. So I think that's very important today, that you don't just go somewhere, a school, a company, a meeting like this, just to take an order. I think you need to visit with people and show them that you're there for them, whether you want an order or not, or whether you're trying to sell something or not. I really do believe in that, and it's worked for me, I have to tell you.
How does a company, from your perspective, Barbara, and your experience, balance the excitement for a new product, a new service, wanting the dental practices to learn about it, versus what you just shared, especially in today's world?
Well, I think that the change in dentistry is massive in the last definitely 5 years, maybe 10 years, and we didn't know it was creeping up on us. So the way in which we do business, the way in which new students are learning and dentistry is performed is totally different to 1970, 80, and 90. I mean, I think you know that too. So I think that I wish that more dental companies would take more people with dental experience. Because if you have a passion for dentistry, then it shows through. And if you know a basic background, then I think you're on a good path. I don't have to tell you everything about a particular product, because you get it. A dentist understands. Right. And sometimes I think salespeople are trying to tell dentists way too much than they need to know. And people probably would fight me on this, but I do think that I need to know what you want to know and evaluate that and give you that information. And sometimes we have products that we think, oh, this is amazing, and you need to know this, and you need to have that product. But you know what? You just want this, the older product. That's what you're happy with, and someone has to be able to evaluate what you need. Ask questions, listen. I'm not a great listener, but I do ask a lot of questions, and I probably talk too much. But I do think that's very important today, to find out what it is that you want. You know, what will help your business. So I think we've gone away from the good old sales training. You know, we used to sit in a room and have sales training. You and I have both been in those situations. But I do think there's value in some of that still today. Sure. And I don't think companies are doing that so much. Yeah. And I do think just being a people person, people are very interesting, they're very kind. You learn a lot if you listen. And I think that's the way to go. Going back a little bit to the old days. Yeah,
well, there's always a lot to learn from the past and pull from the future, yes, like you mentioned. And it is interesting to balance that energy of wanting to get a new technology into a dental practice. You took a liking into schools. So when you hear John say to you, you know, she's the school queen, she's very well connected in the schools, how did that even happen? Like, how do you just wake up one day and all of a sudden now you're going to, it obviously didn't happen all of a sudden. It was years of work and building relationships and being a connector and really, in my opinion, having a long-term view of your career and building relationships in the schools. Where did that all come from?
So when I first came over here, it was because I had developed a school program with the 12 dental hospital schools in the UK. And it was a program where we would donate some product for research or donate products for the students to learn how to use those products. It was pins and posts in that time. And from there, when I was going into the schools, I realized there's different ways to go about this. And so really self-taught and listening to schools and what they wanted and how and the politics of it. And so other companies like that and wanted to have that same program. And then I just developed on that. And going back to Ultradent with Dr. Fisher, he was a dentist and owned the company, and he understood dentistry. So he just let me explore different ways how to reach the students, reach the faculty, and also to give back to them and what could we do for them. So I just then, added on to my repertoire of what I did in schools. Some companies liked it, some companies didn't. So that's how I grew. And then when I finished my career with Danaher and 6 years ago, and decided to become a consultant, people asked me, well, can you do this? And I said, well, yeah, I can. And it's kind of built. It builds. It doesn't happen instantly. It does build. And it is the relationships and the long-term relationships. And somebody talked to me the other week and said to me, you know what, Barbara, who's going to come after us? And you're included in that, by the way. And we were thinking, how many people have the longevity that we have? And there are lots of great people that have longevity that may think they want to retire, and even faculty, but we really need to keep them on board and keep their knowledge and share it. Now, I just, if I'm working for a company or a client or anyone, I want to tell them in a very, very humble way what I've learned, so that, as I usually say, if I pop my clogs tomorrow, at least somebody knows. That's a term, an English term. Then somebody knows I'm giving it back. Other than writing it down, we need to teach and train other people and give them that knowledge. You're the same. You have to do that too. You were with Brasler a long time. So I think just to, talk to people and help them and communicate and just give back. It's not all about the money. It's giving back. Truly is.
You mentioned that you have worked for a lineup of awesome dental companies and learned a ton.
Yeah.
And over the years, I'm sure you have seen and worked with teams that you're probably at the point now where you can look at a team that's bringing a product to the market and probably have a pretty good idea, like, is it going to take them longer than normal? Are they going to be able to make headway? Are they going to be able to build the relationships that they need? I had the opportunity in the last episode to speak with Gino DeSimone, and we were kind of talking a little bit about the Quanta team, right? I'm just curious from your observation, right? They're bringing, DCS has been doing great work for dental practices and solving a real problem for the last couple of years, and now the team is bringing this exciting, software program to, utilizing AI and all of that for the dental practices. What is it that you have seen? You've been around this team a little bit, and I'm just curious from your experience in dentistry of like how you're seeing them balance getting excited about the tech, but then handling it the way that you feel like the practices will really respect it.
Well, it's funny because I think recently, I climbed Kilimanjaro.
And we're going to get to, by the way.
But I'm going to answer that question because that journey brought back some thought processes about teams. And the team that I was working with on the climb, amazing. It was an amazing company, and just simply every one of those people that were helping us, to the porters, to the cooks, to the guides, everyone, their mission was that you're going to make it to the top. They had rules and regulations which we had to abide by, but for me, I I was a little bit of a different character. I was one of the oldest one on the group. There was 10 of us, and I didn't eat the food, which I should have done, and I didn't do this and that and the other. But they realized what I was and was not doing. And so they came to me and said, look, Barbara, you have to eat. You have to do this. And although they had their system, what they needed us to do, they accommodated my needs. That's number one, accommodating the needs of someone on the team that isn't quite following it and wondering why. Why didn't I follow that? And so they asked those questions. And the other thing, the biggest thing of all, every one of those people were on the same path, the same road, and they all wanted the same thing, and it was to get you to the top of that mountain. It was amazing. So my takeaway from that is, sometimes companies, you don't have everyone with the passion that perhaps you have, John has, DCS has, or any of these great companies have, and you only need a couple of people not to be on that path that isn't going to make it work for everyone.
And it doesn't matter how good the technology is, right?
It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, what you're selling, what you have. If you don't have someone with passion, if I was employing someone today, it would be someone, number one, that has the passion, the energy, and just wants to do something great. And that would be the number one trait, actually, rather than an MBA or this or that, a DDS, that would be passion. And we meet many people in this industry that have great passion, and those are the people you want on the team. And it brought that back to light for me, and I was amazed by this group. 2 people didn't make it. I did, thankfully. So but it really, I had a lot of time to reflect on that. I had a lot of walking time on my own up that mountain. And I really reflected on perhaps the companies that I'm now working with. I'm going to talk to them about that in a very humble way.
Yeah.
I'm not telling people what to do, but it's true.
Yeah.
And everybody on that team was fantastic, amazing group.
So speaking of that, I want to bring us home here with your decision to climb that mountain. And I want to talk about this for a couple of reasons. Number one, just to recognize what you did, and talk a little bit about why you did it. But like I mentioned at the beginning, I think that there are a lot of dental professionals out there that through a lot of challenges are going through right now. It can be difficult, right? Because they have to have their game face on every day when they're working with patients. They can't work in an office, they can't go in a cubicle, so they have to internalize a lot of that, and they got to figure it out. And so your story is really inspiring, and I'd love to have you share it. And I hope anybody that's watching this can really kind of zoom in and use some of the things that you learned. I mean, even stuff that you just shared about teams is applicable for dental companies. It's applicable for dental practices. So thank you so much. Why'd you climb the mountain? And let's go there.
My 2 sons climbed it, and I didn't realize at the time how amazing they did. And so a friend of mine was going to go with her family, and she knew that it was special to me to climb the mountain. So she didn't think I could do it. So, of course, that was the deciding factor of why I really did it, was that I could do it. And they're a great family. Deb Darby, great family. And so there was 10 of us. And, I was training, not enough. You never train enough. And when I got to Tanzania, I thought, well, there's no going back now. And my father had always taught me, you've just got to move forward. The past is the past. You don't have to forget the past, whatever's happened, whether it's death or marriage or anything, or problems in the dental office or whatever it is in your life. And we all have really bumps in the road in our life. But he taught me to move forward. If somebody has passed, they're not coming back. That's a harsh reality. But you have to move forward. You don't have to forget them. You move forward, and you deal with those bumps in the road as they come along in the best way that you can. So, I had lost a son. One of the last things he did, and he was so proud to do it, he climbed Kilimanjaro, Alex. The next year, my other son climbed for his brother and for himself. And so I thought, I've got to do this. I've got to find out, how they manage that. And it was amazing. It was a challenge. Every day I thought, what was I doing? It was hard. I didn't train enough. It was a good journey for me. The guides, I think I can speak Swahili now, because I was with the guides for 7 days, going up the mountain with a lot of time to reflect on a lot of things. And so the journey was great for me. And then I never thought I would make it to the top myself. But when I was there, it seemed like it was just something I had to do. There was no way I was not going to make it to the top. So on the last day, I started out at 10 o'clock in the evening when my team started out at 12, because I didn't want to be the last one on the mountain. I actually was, and I didn't care, because it wasn't a race for me. It was a mission. I was, like I've said to you all, I was a zombie. I looked awful. I had ideas of holding the flag and pointing and doing the things that my children had done. I just sat down and thought, I can't do any more. But I did. And I had to get down the mountain, because there's no way you're getting down unless you walk. So the journey was, I thought a lot about my sons. I thought about my family, about some of the things that have happened to me recently, which have been pretty horrendous, and all the things, but you have to go forward. And in fact, I was talking to someone last night who had sadly lost his brother and was struggling with it, and we talked about that. And I think talking about that, death, your problems, whatever it is, sharing is very important. So that was my journey. At the time, it was horrendous. But now, speaking about it, I am very happy I did that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure there was a lot of takeaways. But when you think about our audience, the industry that you've been in for almost your entire career, dental teams, dental professionals, one or two takeaways from that experience that you could share with those that are watching this?
I think it's just, number one is being at peace with whatever problems you've had. And if you've dealt with them, then that's great. And if you haven't, you must continue just to, face them, facing the hurdles that you have and carrying on, keep on going. Doesn't matter whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, you have to keep on going. And that's what I took away from the mountain. Like, I have to keep on going. There's no way out of it. So, there's no going back. If you've lost someone, there's no one going back. They're not coming back. That sounds very hard and harsh, but it doesn't mean to say that we don't talk about those people. So just to keep going. And that was the biggest takeaway, that I'm thankful that I kept going. When Alex passed away, I had to keep going for Thomas.
Yeah. To bring us home, when you look at dentistry, what are you most excited about?
New technology. I'm excited about the way dentistry's going, that the students are very smart. They're much smarter than... And
you would know.
we ever were.
Yeah.
And the interest, the companies that are bringing this technology and trying very hard to bring the technology to the market, for schools who are struggling with money and what have you, but they're trying so hard to bring it together. For this group here today, they're an amazing group of people. Many years ago, schools weren't interested in DSOs or large group practices, but they are today because we can all partner together. There's some great ideas and programs that the DSOs and the schools are looking at. I think it's just moving very quickly, and we're very lucky. It's a great time to be in dentistry right now. For young individuals and for those of us who've been in it for a long time, we can give back. We shouldn't be retiring. We should be giving back and teaching other youngsters, young students, I guess I shouldn't call them that, but young adults, to become really great and passionate. We need to pass that on.
Yeah.
You do too.
I love that. And the last thing I'll say is that we were all together last night at the baseball game.
We were.
And I am so happy to share with everybody, Barbara, that I'm looking at your phone, which we left the game last night without your phone. We were on this bus. It was like this moment that we all had, and you had to put some trust in the Quanta team to kind of coordinate it, and it got Ubered to the hotel. Yes, is that kind of?
It did. Well,
speaking of technology, how crazy we feel like there was a time when we didn't need them, and now it's like without it, you feel lost.
I was devastated, embarrassed.
Well, your pictures are on there.
All of my pictures were on there, but there's so much other stuff on there. But here's the thing. How wonderful was everyone on that bus? We were all in different areas, and everybody was on the same team to find my phone. and we were together, and that's a classic example of what we're all talking about now. And the team, the Qantas team, and those guys, John, Ryan, everybody, yourself, the guys from the DSOs, they all are asking me today, do you have your phone, Barbara?
Yeah.
So thank you all very much for that. It was a great evening.
Yeah.
And again, that was a great experience for us all. We were all together.
Absolutely.
We all wanted, everyone wanted me to find my phone. And that's what I'm talking about.
I love
So,
it. Well,
thank
thank you so much for everything that you've done in dentistry, for what you've done in your career. I know you've got a lot of exciting things ahead with the work that you're doing on the consulting side. I know the Quanta team really appreciates you so much that they really wanted you to spend some time today on the podcast and share your story, and we really appreciate it. So enjoy the rest of the Dykema.
Well, thank you for having me here. Thank you very much for the interview. There's lots more, but so little time.
Awesome. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you.